So, Hariom Stuti ji, I was just thinking, now that you're here, maybe we can let people ask you some questions.
Okay, sure.
Instead of here, you're also waiting. So,
Oh,
we have another 7, 8 minutes. Anyone who has any questions for Stuti ji?
maybe you all can type it in the chat. If not,
Yeah,
unmute yourself.
you can just unmute yourself. You should be able to unmute yourself. Just click on unmute and you should be able to speak. If anyone has any questions, any comments, anything for either me, Stuti ji, preferably Stuti ji, I don't know any answers. So
Hari Om Stuti ji.
Adios.
I was just trying to find out, like, what is a good way of motivating some of our teachers? Because I know everybody is busy these days, and some of them have younger children, and I mean, we would like to see them devote more time in the lesson preparation, and be more prepared for the classes. I know some of them are quite good, but some of them seem to just, wing it at times. So, what is a good way of encouraging them without putting them off?
Yeah, I think what really gets us there is when we are able to see the fruits of our action, right? So when we see the children blossoming, when we see them performing, when we see them doing really well, after what we teach them, like you train them for a period of time, they go up on stage, they perform, or they plan some kind of camp or something like that, and they see it well executed. When you can see that result of what you are doing as a teacher, I think that is a very good motivating factor.
So there's another question, almost similar, on the chat. It says, what are the good ways of involving elder children, as sometimes they go very silent and are not very participative?
Okay, some of a part of that question I'm going to be answering in the session itself. So if you give me a moment, I'll address it.
Sure.
I had a question. Yeah. Hari Om Stuti ji. I had a question. A lot of times we focus on how best we can teach Bala Vihar to the students, right? So, is there some tip that you can give for having a good dynamic between co-teachers? If there are two teachers teaching a class, sometimes there's always difference of opinion and stuff, and I don't know, best practices, if you can just give us a few tips on how to handle differences
Between teachers?
between the adults. So we're focusing on kids, but how to deal with.
Yeah. I feel when we have a sense of family, like this is not my co-teacher, this is my sister or this is my brother. I feel if we have that kind of mentality, if we develop that kind of mentality, those differences kind of resolve on their own. What Puja Gurudev said, faults become thick when love is thin, right? So what you have to do as a teacher then is, outside of the class, you have to create that sense of family with each other. So you go to each other's homes, you spend time with each other and things like that. Because what that comes out of is really, I feel like my way is best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel my way is best. But when we start hearing the other person's ideas and what they are capable of, also, see, a lot of the times we don't know what the other person is capable of, right? But when we start hearing them speak and explain and things like that, then we realize, oh, this is their potential. Yeah. But that could only happen outside of the class, because in the class you are focusing on the children, right?
Yeah. Right.
Hari Om, Stuti ji. This is
Hello.
Hari Om. How are you?
Good.
yeah, good to see
Good
you.
to see you.
Same here. Looking forward to meeting you all.
Yeah. We also.
Yes, we are also looking forward to that.
Thank you, Stuti ji.
Hari Om.
We just opened it up for any questions for people who just joined. We have time till 8:55. So we thought if anybody has any questions, just unmute and you can ask Stuti.
Hari Om Stuti ji.
Hari Om.
I recently started teaching 5th graders and 6th graders at Bala Vihar. And to my good fortune, I got the noisiest batch. They want to just keep talking, and most of the times not on the topic. It's good. It's a practice of my patience. I'm practicing how to be patient. But do you have any magic wand or some tricks that you can share with us?
I do. In the session, I will. That's exactly the point of the session, right?
Yes.
How to redirect their energies and things like that.
Looking forward to this session.
Yeah. Someone just asked a question, Vinita ji. I think you were asking about motivating teachers also. One other thought occurred to me. I think because like you said, our teachers themselves have their responsibilities with their family and their jobs and whatnot. So I feel also if we provide sufficient help in the classroom in the form of not only co-teachers, but also substitute teachers. So if, say, for example, one pair or one teacher is unable to attend, you have a substitute teacher lined up, right? That is one. And the second thing is using the chicks as teaching assistants. Providing this support system for the teachers, I feel it will help also decrease their workload for that preparation. And also they get ideas from the chicks, right? Like what activities they can do and things like that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we are at 8:55. So I'm seeing people are still joining in, but maybe we'll just start with a prayer. I will request Stuti ji to do the opening prayers.
सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयम् नमामि चिन्मयं देवम् सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय.
Thank you, Stuti ji. I just want a quick confirmation. Are you all able to see my screen? Okay. So I'll just walk you through a few things before we start. So first of all, thanks for all the participants who have joined these sessions. It's been a tremendous response. I think, we are we have completed 3. We are on the 4th session. Like it is every Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. So we'll continue to do that, and we will go on till Gurudev's Jayanti, day before Gurudev Jayanti. Typical agenda, just to recap for all of you, we start with introduction of the speaker and then go to the main topic at 9 o'clock. Based on who the presenter is, there are some activities that are planned. Sometimes these activities are within the presentation itself. We will open up for question and answers at 9:50. We will not have the question answer session the way we had it just now. The way we will do it is there is a form there is a online form where you just put your questions so that it can be. I will read it out for Stuti ji and she will answer the questions, and we have a few announcements and then closing prayers at 10. For those who are not able to, for any reason, not able to join the Zoom, we are also streaming this live on YouTube. This is the link for it's bit.ly /BV training live. So it can be the presentation can be seen there as well. For the questions, this is the link. So it is again bit.ly BV training questions. BV, T and Q are caps. So Bitly is case sensitive. So if you can put your questions there, we will be able to access this and we will answer as many questions as we can. If any questions are missed, of course, we will try to send you the answers offline. A recording of this session will be available for everyone that is registered, and but there's nothing like being on the session live. With that, I would like to introduce today's topic. Today's topic is practical and interactive activities for ages 9 to 13. And our speaker today is Brahmacharini Stuti ji. Brahmacharini Stuti ji has been exposed to spiritual teachings since her formative years. Her family actively participated in spiritual engagements at the local Chinmay community mandir and frequently conducted satsangas throughout the country, studying Ramcharitmanas and Srimad Bhagavad Gita, among others. When Prakashananda ji, then Brahmachari Prem Chaitanya ji, was posted in Trinidad, Stuti ji and her family were introduced to Chinmay mission. In 2014, her father completed the Vedanta course under Swami Prakashananda ji. Inspired by that, Stuti ji decided to dedicate her life to the study of Vedanta. Having graduated from the Sir Hugh Wooding Law School in 2017, she joined the 17th Vedanta course at Sandipani Sadhanalaya in Mumbai under the guidance of Swami Swarupananda ji and the tutelage of Swami Buddhatmananda ji. She was posted to Chinmay Mission Columbus by Pujya Swarupananda ji. With that, I will hand over the baton to Brahmacharini Stuti ji. Stuti ji, you can. I'll stop sharing and you can take over.
Okay, Hari Om and welcome to all of you. I am going to share my screen a little and you just indicate to me if you can see. Once.
We saw yours.
Yeah, 1 second. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. All right. So, like Ramji was telling, I will speak on the practical activities for this age group. First of all, what is the purpose and importance of creating opportunities for these interactive sessions? So first of all, I'm going to tell you a story. And it is very likely that you have heard this story before, but listen anyway, okay? So this story is taken from Sri Ramacharitamanasa in Kishkindha Kanda. The Vanara army was sent to locate Janaki Devi. So they had been looking for her for many, many months, and eventually they were becoming very exhausted. And so to lift their spirits, Jambavan ji, he recounted the Mahima of Bhagavan Sri Ramachandra ji. And it is at this point, Sampati, who is Jatayu's elder brother, he heard the army from his cave in the mountain. And so when he came out, he saw this host of Vanaras. And he said to himself, today Bhagavan provided me with a very good feast. Up until now, I was starving. So the monkeys, they all trembled with fear to hear his words. And then Angada, he started to reflect and he thought, at least Jatayu was very blessed that, like Jatayu, we are also searching for Janaki Devi. We are also in this mission, but Jatayu was able to lay down his life at the service of Bhagavan. He died in the arms of Bhagavan. How lucky he was. So having heard this, now Sampati, he heard his brother's name. He started to inquire of this Jatayu. So then they, told him that Jatayu died in the arms of Bhagavan, and because of this, Sampati resolved to help them. So he's telling them now they are on the seashore, and he's telling them, look, on the summit of that Trikuta mountain, there is the city of Lanka. That king is Ravana. And in that Ashoka Vatika, Janaki Devi is there, very distressed. And he says, I can see because of the power of my eyesight. You are unable to see that far, but now I have grown old and I am unable to help you. But at least I can do this much. This is where she is. This is her location. You all can go find her. This much is, it means this is as much as the story as I want to tell you. What I want you to do now is I want you to take a piece of paper and sketch for me just a rough outline. That portion of the story where Sampati is looking across the ocean and he sees Janaki Devi. Very quickly you can do. It doesn't have to be any perfect kind of drawing. Just outline something. And preferably use something that is dark because it is a sketch, right? It's just an outline. So use like a marker or some dark ink. So all we want is an outline roughly of that section of the story where Sampati is looking for Janaki Devi. When you are finished, just hold up your photo, your pictures on the camera. Okay. Wow, okay. You all did that real fast. Wow. So there is variety, okay? There is a lot of variety. I don't know if you all can see each other's photos. Great. Okay. What is the point of this? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to show you actually. I told this story to a group of Bala Vihars a couple months ago, and they had the instruction, each student, I told them the whole story, right? Each student, they had to draw a portion of the story, and they had to come up with like a comic book, right? So the student who drew this portion of the story, I want to show you her drawing because I found it was really revolutionary. Can you see? She drew Janaki Devi in the eye of the bird. Right? When I saw this, I thought I never would have, had that thought to draw Janaki Devi in the eye of the bird. Why I wanted to start off with this is to indicate that we are really highly creative and imaginative beings. Our potential, our creative potential is just untapped. But that creativity has to be nurtured. So we have to give that opportunity, right? For these students to really express themselves in these different ways. Now, the goal here is not perfection. So when I asked you to draw an outline, I was not expecting you to fill it in with color or anything like that, right? Because, of course, time is limited. The goal here is not really perfection. The goal here is enjoyment and using our creative potential to glorify Bhagavan. Right? See, we never know what we are capable of unless we try. So it is your job as a Bala Vihar teacher to encourage these students to come out of their comfort zone and explore different areas of their creativity. We did something kind of similar with chicks recently in a camp, in a chick camp. We did an Ishta Devata workshop, and as part of the workshop, they had to draw their Ishta Devata. And I was amazed to see the really beautiful drawings they came up with. And there were some who were very talented. There were others who were doubting their potential. But we still encourage them anyway. No, you still go ahead and, do the activity. Whatever you could draw, draw it. If it is not proportional, that's fine too, right? But it is just a way of, enjoying the class and using this activity as a way to really worship Bhagavan. Okay. Now, another point that I want to make. So one of the reasons why, what is the purpose, what is the importance of creating these opportunities is to really explore our creative potential, right? Another reason is that we are family here. In Chinmaya Mission, we are all family. So now I want all of you to turn your cameras on. If it is off, you can turn it on. And I want you to scroll through the faces of the participants and tell us on the chat how many people you know who is not from your center, who is not from your current center, because you may have moved across centers and things, right? scroll across and tell us how many people you know who are not from your current Chinmaya Mission Center. Just a number on the chat. $175. Now, I want you to tell on the chat again, what is your oldest relationship in Chinmaya Mission? And it could be with any mission member or Swamin, Brahmacharin from any center. So what is your oldest relationship means how old is that relationship and how did that relationship start? Is it from going to camps or yajnas or training sessions? How did that relationship start? And so 2 things you have to write. The year, how old the relationship is, and how that relationship started. Okay, so I have seen lot of answers are coming in, right? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years old. These are the relationships that we have in Chinmaya Mission. And how they would have started is all of the camps and meeting Swamins and your co-teachers and Bala Vihar and all of these things I have seen here on your responses. It means that through all of these various activities, we would have socialized and built bonds with each other that have very clearly lasted a lifetime. Right? We do one activity at the end of, usually at the end of a camp or after a few weeks of class. And the age group is around this age group or above. We call it a complementary circle. So what we do is, all the students, we sit in a circle and everybody's feet is pointing to the center of the circle. Then each person is asked to give a compliment of somebody else. And when that person receives a compliment, he crosses the leg. Means I have already been done. And then that person gives a compliment to another person. That person gives a compliment to another person. And like that, we go around the circle, everybody gets a turn. So nobody's repeating. So compliment circle is there. And we did another one recently called a courage circle. Same system, everybody sits in a circle, and each individual student has to share a fear, what I am afraid of. And the rest of the group has to go around to help him resolve that fear and build up his courage. And I'll just share with you one of the responses of one of the camps. One young man, he said that he is afraid of going up in public and having that kind of, speaking and things like that. And everybody in the circle was, are you crazy? You are the most outgoing person in this group, right? How can you be afraid? Nobody else would have thought that you had that fear, So they all went around and they helped him. Look, this is how I look up to you in this way. You have done such a tremendous job in all of your presentations. You're so outgoing. You seem so natural, and things like that. They have shared with him. These types of activities, and especially group activities, they encourage the students to bond and form meaningful, long-lasting relationships. And those relationships are people who are with individuals who are like-minded, who have had a similar upbringing. And because of that, they can rely on each other for good counsel. They see each other as role models. So you tell me now, is this not the definition of a family? Those people who I can rely on to support me, give me good guidance, who are thinking in the same lines like me, means along spiritual lines, similar goals we have, similar upbringing we have, right? This is the definition of a family. So in this Bala Vihar class, this is what we are trying to nurture. That feeling of, this is my family. These are my sisters and my brothers. And with them, I will spend the rest of my life. This is the importance of having these kind of activities in the class. Then also, another reason why we need to have these kind of activities is so that they get a break, right? They get a break in the class and it is not all content overload. And what is wonderful about these types of activities is that you have the control as the teacher to schedule these activities in your class, right? We are known to be more productive when we schedule breaks throughout our workday, do we not? So likewise, we have 1 hour of class, but that hour of class, we might think it is only 1 hour. What can I do? But that is an hour of class, which is very in-depth. It requires them to think a lot. The teachings are complex and things like that. So they need little breaks, and it is better that you schedule them in your class rather than they beg for that break. And also, it could be a sattvic break. means where they can learn a lesson, learn a value or two, and so on. I will elaborate upon this a little bit later. Right? And one more point I'll make here is enrichment. I was looking at some videos on YouTube recently about animal breeding. They are born and bred in captivity. And what I noticed was they all had these ingredients for enrichment in that cage or bucket or bin or whatever that they created. And the purpose of that is really the psychological and mental, intellectual, physical development of the animal. So if those keepers are preparing those cages for the animals with enrichment, we should also do it for our human children, right? To help them create that mental development, brain development, physical development, and so on. Yeah? Okay, so this is the importance of, having activities in the class. Now, what is really unique about this age group? Because we know in Chinman Mission, we have classes for kindergartners, we have classes for primary schoolers, middle schoolers, high schoolers, all the way up to adulthood, right? Which means that each group requires a different kind of guidance. So what is unique to this age group, which, requires that difference in the teaching? So first of all, they are developing their own interests and preferences at this age. Means they are interested in technology, sports, craft, exploration, socializing, animals, cooking, all of these things they have begun to show interest in. And I pause here to elaborate on one of them, which is cooking. A couple weeks ago, we brought over some of the classes to where I live so that they could have their Bala Vihar class over here. What happened is we don't have a center right now. The center is being constructed. So all classes are online, and just as a means of, having the kids come in person, they come to where I live. So the teachers brought them and they said, look, let's do some lunch after the class. So the teachers brought all of the ingredients to make, some lunch. And all of the kids went into the kitchen, and each of them had a particular task to do. So somebody cut one vegetable, somebody helped wash some dishes, all of them got to take a turn at, turning the pot and things like that. Very simple tasks. But without fail, every single child went back home and told the mom, this is what we did today. We cooked, we made a meal, and it was so delicious. Right? Means what? This is one of the many ways in which we can really connect to them. When we find out what they are interested in, these are the ways we can use to connect to them. So I have heard Bala Vihar teachers saying, it is nice when chicks are there in the class because the generation gap is a little bit less, and so they can relate to them more and so on. Which is true, but you can also find ways to bridge the gap. Right? And you actually have to find ways to bridge the gap because they will turn to you for for mentorship and guidance based on your years of experience. They will play and have fun with the chicks, no doubt. They may go to them for advice and things like that. But at the end of the day, if I really want sound advice, I might come to the adult, right? So you have a duty to bridge that gap. And this is the way in which we can do it. We find out what they are interested in and we provide it for them. Another feature that is unique to the age group is that they start thinking for themselves now, right? So we have to offer those activities which can help to stimulate their thinking and provide that teaching to help guide that thinking processes. Now, I want us to explore some considerations. When we are creating these opportunities for interaction, what are some of the things we should think of? So one is, each child is differently motivated. Internally motivated, I want to be here, I enjoy being here. And you have the other extreme, my parents are making me come. Right? We have these two types of students in the class. Your duty as a teacher is to help them to move from the latter to the former. So when you are creating your lesson plan and so on, this is the aim, this is the goal which we have in mind, that through this activity, that student should be interested, should be having fun, should enjoy, and ultimately want to come to class himself. Right? And the second thing is to understand and appreciate that each student has a different learning style. Now, to demonstrate this, we'll do an activity. So here I have presented for you the different learning styles. Some people are visual, they can see something and they remember it. Some people, they hear something or they are very musically oriented, so they listen and they can remember or they can understand. Verbal, through reading and writing, and then physical, through physical touch and interaction, they will be able to learn. So this is the activity I want you all to do, right? I want you to use these 4 learning styles. Describe the color blue. Use these 4 learning styles to describe the color blue. If you don't do all 4, it is okay. We'd go through each style and we'd hear some of your responses. So, okay, so now we can unmute and okay, here we go. Make the t-shirts for walkathon. Color of the sky, like the ocean. Make the ocean sound of the waves, Lord Rama's color. Look up at the sky, which is visual. Color of Krishna. Okay, so far I'm seeing a lot of, I'm seeing visual, I'm seeing auditory. Make sad face to show feeling blue, that's a good one. Birds and flowers, sing a song, sad music, do a painting activity. Play the blues, okay, that's a good one. Monday blues. facial expression, picture of the sky, right? Okay, so I will show you an example of each of the four. Now, I had time to prepare, right? So we'll see what we come up with. So under visual, we show different pictures of blue objects. Very simple. Under verbal, I found a poem describing the color blue. That blue is the color of the sea, and it is calming, it sets our heart free, it is the color of the clear day, and so on. Then under auditory, I found a song. Let me see if I can play it for you. Okay, so there is one song that I found, and then under physical, I thought, okay, we can take them outside and let them identify all blue objects, right? So we see all four are there. We have visual with the pictures, we have verbal in the form of the poem, auditory music, we play them a song, and then physical, take them outside and they can identify all blue objects. The point of this activity, obviously, is not very specific to the 9 to 12 age group, but it indicates the principle, which is what? That there are many techniques to teach the same material, the same principle. We can use visual, auditory, physical, logical, and so on to teach the very same topic or the same theme. Now, because each child is differently oriented, has a different learning style, we kind of have to incorporate all of these in the lesson. We can't just use one or two. For each child to really internalize and absorb the teaching that we are trying to teach, we have to use all of these different methods. And this comes in the form of activities included, right? In education, there is a concept called as accelerated learning. And what it means is we are providing the students with more effective opportunities to learn at a faster pace. And this accelerated learning is actually based on the different learning styles of students. So that we as students, we can absorb the teaching, internalize it faster. If it is presented in my way of learning something, I am able to absorb it and internalize it a little faster. Okay, now, what are some of the challenges that we face when preparing for these activities in the class? The common challenge is how to fit all of this in 1 hour session or 1.5 hour session. Because we have to cover the curriculum, we have to cover the story and all of the activities that are there and so on. We have a certain time frame, 40 weeks and 1 hour per week. use activities to teach as a teaching tool, because those activities can still be very informative, right? So it is serving two purposes in the classroom. One is, it is a means of taking a break, some enjoyment, some relaxation, and at the same time, still learn some core value. Because after the game, after the activity, we have to be sure to debrief, touch on the value of that activity. And in so doing, we can use the activity as a teaching tool. How many of you have heard of the organization Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh? Great. So you know that they do all of these skills, all of these games, right? Their games actually have 4 tenets, 4 aspects. The foundation of each game will have samskaras, a certain core value, which is being taught. Anushasanam, discipline. Utsaha, or enthusiasm, inspiration. And 4th is vyayam, or physical exercise. So each game that is devised will have these 4 pillars: a value, discipline, enthusiasm, and physical exercise. I'm going to describe one of these for you. The name of the game is Namaste. And in Namaste, what you do, you sit in a circle and everybody is facing each other into the center, except one fellow. He will be outside of the circle, and at the start of the game, he will have to touch one of the participants and continue to run around the circle. The other fellow has to run in the opposite direction, and when they cross paths, they greet each other, Namaste. And then they continue running until somebody occupies the empty seat. And then the game continues like that. Somebody else will be tagged, they greet each other, Namaste, at the meeting point, and then they find their seat. Tell me, what is the core value in this? What do you think it is? You can type. What do you think the core value is? Respect. Somebody say samskara utsaha vyayam. No, you have to tell what your value is. Acknowledge each other, be nice, respect, recognition, exercise and greet. Greeting with namaste, polite, even while you are busy. Oh, that's a good one. Getting exercise. Inclusivity, happiness with each other, have fun. Okay. When we greet each other with Namaste or Hari Om, it is not just about respecting the other person, you know. Here you go. Finally, somebody said it. Pranams to Bhagavan within the other person. You are greeting the divinity which is present in the other person. You are training your mind to recognize the presence of God in somebody else. This is what is actually happening in the game. we don't just say namaste and Hari Om and Sitaram and those greetings. It is not just it is not equivalent to good morning and good day. Have a great day, right? When we say Hari Om, we are we are recognizing the presence of divinity in another human being. Right? This is the value that is there in that game. And of course, they get their physical exercise, they learn discipline because you have to have some form of discipline to play the game properly, not become injured and so on. Okay? Like that, when we are organizing for our games, this is what we are trying to pull out. This is what we are trying to extract. That it should have some core value, it should have the physical exercise, it should have some discipline and so on. So going back to the original point, which was the challenge of time, the time constraint, right? It is that even though we are making time for these activities, they can still be a teaching tool. So that teaching process doesn't only happen when we sit and talk or when we sit and discuss. That is a teaching tool and it is an effective teaching tool, but it is not the only teaching tool. So one of the questions that was asked earlier at the start of the session was, my kids are very verbal. They like to talk a lot. And what it requires us to do as teachers is to redirect that energy. That talking is just a form of energy that needs to be used up, right? So when we create these activities, we can not only teach, but we also get them to use up some of that energy. This is how we do it. So I hope that question is answered now, right? The second thing is that nobody is asking you to do all kind of activities in every single class, right? It is actually going to be based on the need of the students on that day. Someday they are going to be very attentive. You could use that day for more discussion-oriented, style of teaching. Another day they are not as attentive. Then you should have some activities in your back pocket that you could just simply pull out and use in your class. But in order to do that, in order to be flexible in your class like that, it requires you to be well prepared as a student, as a teacher. You had to have planned that lesson well in advance, know your topic inside out, and have a couple activities prepared so that on that day, while delivering the class, the lesson, if the students are attentive, you can go in this direction. If they are less attentive, you can go in another direction while still teaching the lesson. Right? And now the final point I will make for this session is that when we talk about interactive activities, it is not limited to the class. It is not limited to 1 hour. You can involve those students in music in the ashram when you are having assembly time. I am sure you would be singing bhajans and things like that, or you would have yajnas. There will be bhajan singing. You can use the skills of the students for those functions. involve them in music. They are all learning some instrument in school, are they not? Recently, only I learned some of our Bala Vihar students playing flute and came second in some competition. So I said, hey, you need to come and start to play the flute in Sunday morning service. Right? Why are you learning the flute? It is not for some competition. It should be for glorifying Bhagavan really, right? So they get an opportunity to showcase what they would have been learning, and also you get some music in the ashram, which is always enjoyable for everybody. They are also interested in serving their community. And what I would have noticed is that the participation from youths came when we used them for some seva. Whether it is to supervise younger students during camps, or we have this Ronald McDonald cooking once a year during Christmas, they will come out at that time. We have Red Cross blood drives, they will come and serve. We have Quad Walkathon, they will be there to help plan and execute. They want to feel like they are contributing to the growth of the center in some way or the other. They don't want to be passive observers. They want to participate. So we don't have to limit their participation to in class alone. We could extend that outside of the class. Okay, and just to wrap up, we have one duty as a Bala Vihar teacher. That is to teach core values effectively in a fun and enjoyable way. That is all. And resources, we have a host of resources available. We have the Bala Vihar portal, which is accessible to everybody. We have an army of sevaks across the globe. We have to just connect with them and get ideas. You can use your own children or your past students. You have other organizations whose focus is activity only. You can reach out to them and here, get their ideas. And if anything else fails, you just use Google, right? Just Google it. This is the topic I want to teach. I'm looking for an activity. Google it. You'll find something, right? And not only in Hinduism, I would have found, like I would Google some topic like courage, some activity related to courage, and I would have found some Christian groups what they have come up with. Yes, ChatGPT also you can use. Right? So we have a host of resources just available to us. We just have to tap into it. Okay, and I will end here and open up the floor for Q&A. You can use the link provided by Ramji to ask your questions.
Yeah. So there are a couple of questions actually. I'm going to put everyone on mute. Are you hearing my own voice again?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Kids in class love a break, but it's time consuming to get them back into class mode. Any suggestions on how to schedule a break and be able to stay on time?
Yeah. You can keep it for either the end of the class, or sometimes I do it at the beginning of the class also.
Okay.
But if there is that challenge of time, then I would suggest you do it at the end of class.
Thank you. Can you please share some more examples of specific activities?
Yes. So what I told before, like complimentary circle and all those things, and I actually have a list of activities that I have been collecting for a couple of years now. I do how you call it, not a bingo, people's bingo. So that actually is a nice one for them to get to learn about each other, right? So let me just see if I can share my screen here for you. This is a sample of people's bingo, and I kind of made it a little related to Chinmaya Mission, where I have met Swamiji, I have met Swami Swarupanandaji, I have been in a mission for 10 plus years. In our center, we have 4 Sirishas, so I did that one for them. And it is just a way of, I tend to do this like at the beginning of a camp or at the beginning of a Bala Vihar, so that they get to learn each other, about each other. So this is one example. I have some more where we do fact bag. Fact bag is when each person, they have to write something about themselves and they put it into a bag. And then the rest of the class, they will go through the chits and they have to draw it out and read the fact aloud and see who they can match that card to. So it requires them to know about each other a little bit intimately to be able to pick out who the person is. Another one that we have done is draw on my back. So you take a paper and you put it on the person's back and you start drawing some outline. And the person has, through feel, has to guess what image you are drawing. Another one that I did was they were in pairs and one person was given an image and the other person has to draw. So the person with the image has to direct and describe to the other person what to draw without using like clear indication. So you can't say draw a heart. You have to describe it. And then at the end of the game, they have to compare. What did I draw versus what was the image? And the value in that game is really communication and eloquence. You should be, eloquent in your descriptions. Let me see if I could pull up some more. I don't know if you have heard about this game called 5-second rule. So you have 5 seconds to name 3 things. So for example, you have 5 seconds to name 3 characters in Ramayana. Or you have 5 seconds to name 3 Indian spices. Or you have 5 seconds to describe the person opposite you. So it is a way of, you can use it to test, like to test at the end of a lesson or at the end of the, term to test them what they have learned so far. Or you can use it as a means to get to know each other and things like that.
A few more questions. We have
Yes,
maybe
I can share
1 or
that.
2 minutes. So this is an interesting one. In a game, if we have a winner or loser, as the game demands, I find sometimes it is shaky ground to have a winning dream. We end up winning team, I think. We end up saying something like we are all winners. What is the best way? What is the best way to handle winning and losing? Appreciate your input.
Winning and losing, losing especially, is a great value. Okay, we have to learn how to fall and accept that and learn how to build from it. You're gonna fall in your life. You have to learn how to grow from it, right? We're not going to be successful in every single thing that we do.
Thank you.
As teachers, help them to cope with it. Okay, you were not good at this game, but you might be good at another game, right? Or teach them the value of practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the better you become, right? So those are we have, as teachers, have to teach those things.
Sure. I think the last question we'll take for today. What are some chanting games you have found effective?
Oh, I actually heard this one in our own center. The teacher was, it was kindergartners though. They were trying to teach the children some basic Vakratunda Mahakaya and those things. And they had them run. So they were running to one end and chanting one line, running to the other end and chanting the other line. But it was a way for them to enjoy it and, learn it through that means rather than just sit and listen, which is typically the traditional way of learning, no doubt. But kids are a little bit different today and they need that, avenue to exhaust that energy a little bit too.
Wonderful. Stuti, thank you very much. I think there are a few more questions. We'll probably take it offline and send it to the audience. But yeah, thank you very much for today's session. It was amazing. I think, we, like I mentioned, we will send a recording to those who missed it, but respects to you and Namza as well.
Okay, I'm sending you I just sent the icebreaker games.
Sure.
You can share it with anybody.
I will do that. I think we will send it with the email where we send the recording.
Okay. This is a draft. This is nothing. This is just something that I just pulled together. It is a little bit rough, so bear with it.
No problem at all. So quickly, a few announcements. Just wanted to remind everyone that Mahasamadhi camp is in Washington, D.C. this year, and it is same dates, July 29th to August 3rd. Registration open. Early bird registration is still open. And we also have a very interesting Heritage Horizons camp in Ernakulam. This is for 6th to 11th graders. It is going to be a 2-week program in India. It's one of its kind. Lots of interesting things that children will learn from Ayurveda to Vedic chanting, Sanskrit, Indian maths. Registrations are open. Please do. The last one is there is a rare solar eclipse that is going to happen on April 8th, and there is a full solar eclipse in Mangalam. So Brahmachari Hari Chaitanya is going to be doing a retreat. It's called the Aditya Hridayam retreat. If you are interested. With that, I just want to remind you of next week's topic. Next week, so we had the younger children last week. We have had the middle schoolers. Now we will go to high school next week. And next week will be done by Brahmachari Hari and Shubhani ji. So that's what we have in store for us next week. Please do join. Please do let everyone else know. We are seeing people are seeing the recordings more than the live sessions. It would be great if you can encourage your colleagues and the other Bala Vihar teachers to join online. With that, we'll say the closing prayers. I'll request Stuti ji to do the closing prayers.
Namadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हरि ओम।
Hari Om, Stuti. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you.